What's good, everybody? Once again, this is your host, Silent Mode, maker, artist, and LEGO enthusiast. And as usual, thank you for joining me. If you happen to be watching live, whether active in the chat or not, I really appreciate it. Shout out to GoBricks and Mayor Hosko for joining in early. Thanks for stopping by. I always appreciate it. So as is advertised, we're going to go over some GoBricks parts that I recently ordered through AliExpress. And we're taking things up to the hour, I hope, so I won't keep you guys too long. Before we begin, I want to start with a couple of non-GoBricks parts that I recently obtained. You've probably seen these already. I can't remember if these are actually GoBricks, but these are some transparent 1x2 jumper plates. I got them for a custom minifigure display solution that's in the works. But here are the, I don't think they're GoBricks parts. How's it going, Owen? First of all, we got some corner masonry bricks, and there should be about 50 in here. I thought these were quite interesting. Basically masonry bricks, but corner bricks. And I'd be looking for LEGO to make something like this because we have the 1x2s and the 1x4s, but sometimes we end up with odd shapes. So it's going to be quite useful to have those. Would I use them in a model that I would take to an event? I'm not sure yet. But then we also have these. We got some 1x3 masonry bricks. And interestingly, they decided to go with this design for the other side of the brick. Not sure if that was the right choice in my opinion, but again, could be potentially useful. I was thinking of using these maybe for Pallet Town when I get to designing the buildings, and we'll see about that. Well, onto the specifically can't even speak. The specifically GoBricks pieces. Got some of these 1x1 downward facing brackets in black. I needed a bunch of these and I happened to run out, so I just thought I'd get these in bulk instead. And then we have these brackets here, relatively new parts but transparent, and I'm thinking of using these for minifigure display as well. I got a bunch of transparent pieces. I haven't decided which one I'm going to use. Maybe it's situational, but I got a whole bag of them in case I decide to use them. Just thought that was a particularly useful part. Nice one, Owen. So if anything, you've proven consistently that you can build a subscriber base starting from scratch. So the most of the GoBricks parts came in these bags, so they're familiar with the term mock, and this is what they'll basically look like if you order them through AliExpress, maybe from other parts as well. How's it going, Alexandria? Thanks for stopping by. How are you doing? And as usual, I hope everybody listening right now is doing okay, and certainly better than I am doing. I'm doing alright. It's been a very hectic week so far. I've been out both Monday and Tuesday evening. I'm going to be out on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, trying to get something resembling a social life going again, as well as keeping up with this hobby. So some more GoBricks parts. These are the reverse of the brackets that I showed you before. These are 1x1s going upwards. Thought these would come in useful in bulk as well. Got some 2x2 transparent plates, and apparently transparent parts are the thing at the moment. I won't go into too much detail, but I also got these for my proposed minifigure display. Now these parts, these were the first GoBricks parts that I decided to get, and these are basically cheese slopes. I'm not sure how well you can see them here. I'll just put them like that. They're what we call cheese slopes, but they have a stud on the angled sides. Now, some of you may remember that I actually designed a part like this many years ago, back when I was brand new to 3D printing and excited about the opportunities. And for those who don't believe me, I actually have photographic evidence of me having designed the parts. But I saw that GoBricks has actually manufactured the parts. And you know what? This is one instance where I can't be mad at them, because had it been left up to me, I probably wouldn't have done anything. And if I had tried to produce these myself, I'd still have issues with quality control, whether they be stable enough, all that good stuff. So in this instance, it's a great thing that an actual manufacturer has produced those parts, because I thought they were a great idea. And this is how I thought about using them. So one thing I noticed when I first started displaying models at events is that you had minifigures put on plates like this, and they look really static. If you wanted to have them looking as if they were walking, you'd probably have one leg down, and then you'd have to bend the legs like this. So they look something like that, and that still looks quite static. So my idea behind this piece, especially in transparent, is that you could have one of these on the plate, and then, okay, they're hovering slightly, but you could more dynamically pose them like this. Or I suppose if you turn them around, you could pose them like that. And I think that looks a lot more dynamic. That's just me though, I'm a little bit biased. But I have a bunch of them, and it may be something that I incorporate into my models for display. I'm not entirely sure, but I have enough of them to play around with. So yeah, as I said, this is one instance where I don't mind that somebody has, in quotes, taken my idea, because at least they've done something with it, and they've obviously done a better job of it than I would have, and it's available. How's it going, Demos? I see you there. And I got a couple more brick separators from GoBricks, one in a light grey color and one in white, and that's going to add to my collection. I'm missing a purple one to make the family stripe colors. I haven't seen any so far where they produce one of these brick separators in purple, but I just thought that was quite nice. Would have been better if it was dark grey though, but I suppose LEGO has that covered. But now for the star attraction. I have a couple of big bags. One looks like this, and one looks like this, and these are full of GoBricks parts. How's it going, Kirkim? Thank you for stopping by. You got to get that work in, but I really appreciate you being here. So in my AliExpress craze as of late, I decided to buy some random GoBricks parts. I bought 1.5 kilos in total. That's a lot of crisps. They're not crisps. I've included the link in the description to the actual listing if you're interested in getting these, but as far as I understand, these are GoBricks parts from the factory. I have been pre-warned that some of them may not be up to scratch, but I was curious to see what would be in them. So this is the 500 gram portion of the 1.5 kilo bag. And this is my first time looking at the pieces in here. Looks as if we got a random selection. Let's take a cursory glance at what's in here. I'll just open it this way. By the way, hope everything is fine in the States, wherever you are, concerning the snowstorm, whatever's going on over there. It's crazy times, I will say. It looks as if some of these parts are slightly dirty. And you can notice there are differences in color. For example, this is a a rather pasty looking pink color. Interesting nonetheless though. Maybe a little bit flimsy. But yeah, these came directly from the factory. So some of these bits may not be intact. They may be a little bit scuffed, as you can see here. But I think that makes it a little bit more interesting. So there's all kinds of odd colors we can see here. I'm just going to do a very quick separation of tiles, for example. And for that, I'm going to put the camera slightly lower. Yeah, I've been meaning to do a live stream for quite some time, but there's just been so much going on this week. Had to force myself to make the time right now. But I definitely wanted to get these out of the way. Oh look, a tail. Yeah, these, I mean, worst case scenario, these parts could be used as filler parts where people won't actually see them. But it's always an opportunity to make them, you know, to make my displays a little bit more interesting. How's it going, Never Too Old? This looks as if it's one of those minifigure helmets, half of a fishbowl. But for those who just joined, I'm going through some random GoBricks parts that I got from AliExpress. And again, the link, if you're interested in getting your own, is in the description of this live stream. That's an interesting light purple color. You can't really see it that well here. So yeah, there's a few bits of debris, but it's nothing serious. I would say that it would be obvious to people well versed in Lego where these parts are used, because they definitely don't match Lego colors. But quality wise, I think they're okay. Obviously there's a definite difference in plastic, but I think they're alright. Okay, we got a little cat here. I'm reminded that Never Too Old has a new cat coming very soon. And I actually had thoughts, for whatever reason, of adopting my own cat. I'd probably, if I did decide to go through with it, I'd probably adopt a kitten. I think it would be nice to have a companion. In 3 days, that's awesome. I got to thinking though about how well I'd be able to look after it, how much it would have to depend on me. That's a nice color right there. This is more of an indigo color. Again, you can't really see it, but it's a very nice color. I think Lego has introduced something like this year in the Botanicals range. Got one of these legendary double-sided plates. You can get these individually through the GoBricks website, I'm imagining, or AliExpress. So cats look after themselves after 5 months. That's good to know. But still, I think there'd be some kind of maintenance with cats. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to completely look after itself. I think, to answer Mayo's question, I think from what I've used of GoBricks, the clutch power's okay. I think there were a few issues with the vending machine, which I believe use GoBricks parts, but it's not bad. There's a nice printed part there from something, and this is a pearl silver snot brick. But I do know that cats aren't as high maintenance as dogs. I personally prefer dogs myself, but if I were to take the plunge, if I could, and get myself a tangible pets, it'd probably be a cat. Some very nice pieces in here so far. But it's just a fleeting thought at the moment, so I'd have to give it some very serious thoughts. Now, Owen, you didn't go and buy yourself more Lego, did you? That would be pretty bad. How's it going, Jedi? Thanks for stopping by, and thank you for hitting the like. Okay, this is one of those defective parts. You can see there's some molding issues here. But even so, I think this could come in handy for something. I'm not entirely sure yet. I know, speaking of automated machines, I know that Ben Heck, he's famous for having a cat, but he basically designed his own machine for feeding his cat when he was away. It would be rather interesting to, if I was that inclined, to take on one of those projects, or just get one already made. Got a bottle here. But you know what, Owen, I completely understand. It's one of the most addictive things to just grab whatever Lego you can. I guess this is part of the reason why I've got this. Just being curious as to what I would get. There's another one of these plates. So, as I mentioned during the first part of designing Pallet Town, I am considering building it using GoBricks parts rather than Lego. Yeah, so I really don't know what triggered this idea of potentially getting a kitten, but it's just an idea at the moment, and time will tell if I follow through with it. We could end up being a whole group of people with some kind of pet, whether it's a cat or a dog or something else entirely. Got a I think I would call this a lantern piece rather than a pumpkin, but that's a rather nice one too. A house fox. I personally like foxes. I don't particularly like how they sound, and they can be rather skittish, if that's a word, but I like foxes. I don't have access to the outside, unfortunately, so it probably wouldn't be that practical. There's another, I'm going to call it a tail. Well, that's may suggest that well, not necessarily me, but some of us will eventually stop buying Lego. I'm not quite at that stage, and I don't know if I would ever get to that stage unless something really messed up happens on the company side. I actually saw on Reddit, which I definitely don't recommend to anybody in general, but somebody in the 3D printing space decided they liked the upcoming Lego Crocs so much that they designed their own and printed it and decided to show them off. And apparently other people liked the idea of Lego Crocs, so they liked that post. And as I said, I believe it was on Kirkim's stream, I will not associate with anybody who goes for them whatsoever. I won't talk to them. I will have nothing to do with them because they're just diabolical. Oh, look at this. This is a wedge tile. I think this is unique to GoBricks at the moment, but don't quote me on that. How's it going, One Brick? I saw you there. Got a brown drawer. Haven't seen one of these in a while. And yes, I've been fortunate to be very spoiled as being part of this hobby, and in particular during my stint in the mainstream part of the hobby, to where unless it's something that I really want, I wouldn't choose to get I wouldn't choose to get the sets at full price. Well, where is One Brick at a Time based? I have apologies, I don't know where. I'm not familiar with One Brick at a Time. I don't know where they're based, and that would help if I'm going to check out their collection. Another wedge tile. Quite a few of these double-sided plates, which is cool. Coming up to the last few bits. Yeah, these look as if they were taken off the factory floor. You can see the scuff marks and bits of debris. But as long as I can use them, it is all good. Cool. I will check out One Brick at a Time's channel once I'm done here. Got one of these infamous, what would you call them? I guess these are brackets. Could call them snot plates, but you'll see these in Zuru Max sets. This is a GoBricks part as well, so I'm going to guess that Zuru Max uses GoBricks as well. Got a nice heart-shaped tile there. Don't forget it's, well, as if you can forget, it's V-Day coming up soon. Very soon. Yeah, funnily enough, I actually met my first Latin American LEGO fan at Bricktastic last year. I'm not sure if it was her. I mean, I don't know how prolific LEGO is in that part of the world. But it would be interesting to check out the channel. Okay, so yeah, I'd recommend giving these a bit of a wash, but otherwise it looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to put these tiles to one side, just try and find a bag or something. Alright, always keep Ziploc bags on deck. And I'm going to have a separate bag for these double-sided plates as well. Let's see, can I do it from here? I should be able to do it from here. Yep, I'll just open the page just so I don't forget. Cool. 180 pounds and 255-gallon drums of bulk. That's a lot of sorting. I wonder if there's some kind of mathematical formula to determine how long it will take to sort Lego by weight. I guess it depends how you sort them. Alright, give me a second while I put these away, because I'm going to make way for the 1 kilo bag. I suppose I can show you my new box while we're waiting. This is my foggy style box, for those who haven't seen it. If you can get it in view there, I made it myself, and that is basically, I still don't quite understand how it works, but that's basically for recording donations and things. So every time I receive a donation of some kind, I put a duck inside. But just something to focus on while I put these away. You don't have to do anything. How's it going, JDP? Alright, those are them. Just one more small bag for the double-sided plates. I am doing alright actually. Today is quite an odd day because I guess mostly because of my working hours. I've been having a little bit of trouble with sleep, and so ironically I got up early this morning, but I spent most of the morning catching up with sleep, and I'm alright now. Had to get in some work, of course, but things are pretty good. It's been a very busy week, and I have tried to balance everything. Try to make sure that I did at least one live stream this week, because I have a whole bunch of stuff to get out of the way. But it is all good today. Must be good to be in on a live stream where I'm not complaining about something. Although I did mention the 3D printed Lego Crocs. Alright, so this is the 1 kilo bag of the 1.5 kilos that I ordered. And it looks like I've got a few bags. Thank you, SilentBricks. I'll let you guys decide which one I should open. And ironically, these are, well, one of them is numbered. Alright, so I've got 5 bags in total in here. Alright, so let's see how we can do this. This is the first bag. Hey. Thank you, Never Too Old. Let me put this down for a second. And let me show you. I've got a whole bunch of these just in case, but they're in different colors, so you can pick whichever one you want. And it looks like Never Too Old wants a silver one. So there's a nice silver one there. That's going in the box. Thank you very much, sir. Again, absolutely no obligation. It was just something that I made, and I wanted to show you guys. So anyway, back to the scheduled programming. We've got this bag. Not that you can see much of it. We have this bag right here. We have this one. We've got this one right here. And lastly, this one. So which one do you think I should open? You've only got time for one, I believe, so choose wisely. See, the thing, Never Too Old showed me where he could get, well, where I could get one of those boxes that both he and Foggy have. But honestly, and I don't know what it is about me, I have to make my own. So Alexandria says the last one. Never Too Old says the third one. We need a tiebreaker. No problem, Owen. Okay, so we have this one, which is the last one, and this one, which is the third one. Which one should I go for? How's it going, Relions? Yeah, Relions is... I'm going to assume you're really excited about Smurf in a couple of months' time. It looks as if you're making good progress, but glad you stopped by. Hope you're doing alright, sir. Alright, so I'm going to flip for it. Since, well, I can't decide which one to go for. Alright. We are going for this bag. I'll tell you what, Relions, you may not be a Lego collector, but 3D printing is just as addictive, especially when it comes to filaments. If it's not Lego, I have a whole bunch of filaments. More than I would ever use, and that's just what's in here. That's cool. It sounds as if you're managing your expectations, but at least you have something, and that's the main thing. Alright, some more transparent pieces. We got some of these transparent plates. Again, transparent parts seems to be a thing at the moment. So it's good to have these. Some Technic pieces that I probably won't use. And again, I'm just going to separate the plates and some tiles. If I happen to find any more of those double-sided plates, I'll take those as well. Got a reverse tile, nice. A dark blue palm tree piece. Well, that's not surprising. I'd imagine that a lot of filament has to go into making that marble runner, which is very impressive, by the way. But at least you're using the filament. That's not just sitting there. Oh no, sorry to hear that, JDP. That's another reason why I'm hesitant to get a pet, because I don't think I could deal with eventually passing away. I'm not even sure what to do when that happens, but that's I guess that's part of the process. A dark blue palm tree piece. I wonder how that would be used. But yes, if you have any interest in 3D, if you have any interest in 3D printing, definitely check out Relion's YouTube channel. He's got some very interesting projects, and he's gearing for a big one in a couple of months' time. I think he is going to be. I think he's going to do really well as a result. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately, or fortunately, but it should be a good one. But yeah, indeed, my condolences, man. Having to deal with a loss is never easy. Okay. That doesn't sound like much, but that's assuming that the prints go right, and also obviously depends on how many you have to produce. So you get about maybe 40 or 50 per spool if you're lucky. Quite a few snot bricks in this collection. Look at this, a nice chewed up Technic pin. If you are looking to make molds for candles, I suppose it depends what shape you want the candles to be in, but you might not need a 3D printer. You could possibly get away with using silicone molding or resin casting or resin casting, but that is just as expensive as well, it's more expensive than Lego, and I'd say it's just as expensive as 3D printing. I've got 2 damaged pieces so far, at least I think there's just 2. There may still be some use for them, I'm not entirely sure. Well, minifigure candles, excuse me. With minifigure candles, it depends what size you want to make them, but you could use an existing minifigure and make a mold from it using silicone rubber, or you could 3D print a minifigure and make a mold from that. Got a tan leaf here, maybe interesting to some. There are some filaments that are flame retardant, but I'm assuming that Never Too Old isn't planning to make candles out of filament. There are some that resist fire quite well, but generally you probably don't want to burn 3D printed filaments. Wouldn't be very good for your lungs. So yeah, I will say at the moment I'm quite pleased with the selection of parts here. I think it's a rather nice selection. Would I go for this again? Probably not. I'd be looking for more specific parts, especially for building things. Even got a mug. Yeah, definitely got to be careful with candles. Although I can't remember the last time I actually used a candle. I personally stick with PLA, sometimes PTG and TPU, and I know that they don't do particularly well with fire. Not that I have ever tried to burn anything, but there are some materials that are heat resistant. I actually had to send back some filaments that I was trialing. They were ASA, because I can't print with them on my on the printers that I have right now. I had thought about getting a enclosed printer for engineering filaments, but even then I wouldn't use them very often, so I didn't think it was worth the investment. And I have too many 3D printers anyway. But yeah, in general I don't have a need for engineering filaments. Look at that, 2x6 tile. This must have come from a perhaps a modular building set, this bag. No idea which one though. I remember there was a friend of mine who wanted to get into the candle making business, and one of the things I remember is that there are different kind of candles. You got the traditional paraffin candles, paraffin wax candles, and then you got soy-based candles, or soy-based wax candles. Well, you should definitely check out Reliance's YouTube channel. I mean, I would recommend checking out anybody's channel if you have an interest in whatever they're doing, because everybody does things differently and there may be something that catches your attention. For example, I suck at the mechanical side of things, and I think you know, Reliance has more skill in that area than I do. But variety is the spice of life, as is often said. The most engineering filaments that I've used is probably carbon fiber filled PLA, and that was more of an experiment. That's quite a dirty plate there, but it's okay. 1x5. I actually had a go at designing a replacement suitcase wheel, and I thought it worked quite well, but it actually broke during use, so that put paid to that. And then there's been all kinds of scare stories about carbon fiber filaments. So because I don't really have a use for it most of the time, I don't really bother with it. Easter's coming, so you may want some of these, which resemble cracked eggs, but they could also be flower pieces. And I think these parts are good for if you like pastel colors. So a lot of these pieces resemble pastel colors. Well, I'll say one of the good things about having so many rolls of filament is that it gives a little bit of room to experiment. It does mean a lot of waste material, unfortunately, and it can be quite problematic if I want specific colors. There's a dark tan set of leaves to go with the tan ones. So I'm guessing this is definitely from a building set. Do you need quite a few of these pieces? Oh, look at that. That's a nice printed tile there. I think Alexandria may like this one. I'm not sure why I named Alexandria specifically, but there it is. One particular filament I would really like to get my hands on is denim, which I saw at Form Next a couple of years ago, and it was Color Fab that was producing denim filament. I was just really curious about it. I don't know if it's actually on sale, not sure where to get it from, but I thought that was really interesting. And what would I use it for? I have no idea. Well, I don't know if Mayo Hosco would be able to do that actually, but because I mean there's so many different combinations of parts. I think he'd probably get a few rights if we were to challenge him. Once upon a time when I was really into the mainstream side of the hobby, I probably could have done a similar thing. There's too many gaps in my knowledge though, because I had a dark age from the late 90s to around 2010, so there would be quite a few pieces that I wouldn't be overly familiar with. Look at that. It's trend. I'd say this is trans brown, a round plate with a hole. TPU foaming plastic. I have no idea off the top of my head what that would be useful for, but if they came up with it, I'm pretty sure it has a use, maybe for making footwear or something like that. Right, we're almost at the end of this bag. I'm going to put this tray away. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. I know there was a similar thing with some PLA lights, I think it was called, where the density changed with temperature. I actually got to try that once, not with much success though. I think it was a lot to do with having to dry it. But that was alright. But one thing I haven't found out actually, with all the talk about using 3D printing to make footwear, is how well it does with stones. If you happen to get stone caught in the footwear, I'd imagine that would be quite painful. Alright, so that's that. Small bunch of tiles there. Quite a few plates there. And then the remaining parts there. Cool. I think, well, either what, if I do decide to get another printer, which wouldn't really make much sense, but if I were to get another printer, I think it would be one of those tool changer ones, which I think is the big thing at the moment. Because it really would be useful not having to waste so much filament making multicolored prints. But one thing I really wish they would introduce is multiple tool heads where you can use different nozzle sizes for printing different details. That's a pretty good price actually. I mean, it's not affordable for me right now, but given where the technology was just a couple of years ago, I think that's pretty reasonable. And I hate to say it publicly, but I may as well say it publicly. I'm pretty much done with Creality. Unfortunately, I used to be a huge fan of Creality as a tinkerer, but when I saw that their newest printer is basically an A1, I just can't take them seriously anymore. That's completely irrelevant to those it's irrelevant to, but I had to get that off my chest. I can't see myself going back to using a Creality product, although I am interested in their offering for filament recycling. I think they have something coming up. Creality is a 3D printing company based out of China. I can understand that, Reliance. I mean, I guess the slicers have to do so much at the moment. But seriously, that printer is, I mean, I know that other companies have done similar things, but there's no way anybody could look at that newest one and not think it's an A1. That's just shameful. Right, just gonna put these away, give you something a little bit more interesting to look at. It's amazing though seeing how far I've come in terms of using slicers. I used to use Cura quite religiously, and then I got introduced to what was it, Prusa Slicer. Then there was another variant of I forgot what it's called. Was it Super Slicer? And then naturally, because of the printers I still use at the moment, I've migrated to Orca Slicer. Occasionally Bamboo Studio. I'd be very surprised if anyone still uses Cura, to be absolutely honest. I think maybe there's time for a really cheeky quick look at another bag. How's it going, Knights? So I mean, no promises, but maybe, just maybe, I hope to be at this year's Form Next. I think that would be quite nice, but at the same time, I've got to have something to come with. I don't want to just show up somewhere and not have anything to give back, let's just say. I know that you talked a little bit about it on one of your streams, Reliance. I don't want to be one of those people. But that's also part of the reason why I'm not really doing any events this year. But we'll see. Whoops. But yeah, I think Orca Slicer is probably the best of the slicers at the moment, but I'm also kind of wary about something becoming too big, because then they start doing all kinds of stuff. I do think the main problem they have right now is compatibility with Bamboo Lab firmware. Okay, very quick look before the hour is up. I'm going to take a really quick look at what's in this bag. Yes, so hopefully, since my plans have somewhat changed, hopefully I'll get to do another live stream tomorrow evening. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I've got some more Zuru Max sets. I may, if I'm feeling up to it, build some of those. That's interesting how that happens. Right, that's bent out of shape, but that's okay. Anyway, good to see you here, Knights. And I got a free brick separator. Didn't have to get that vending machine set after all. Well, some would argue that that's the best way to listen to one of my streams on mute. Let's be honest, some people are much better on mute. Got some more of these dark blue palm tree pieces. Maybe somebody will have an interest in them. Got quite a few here. Yeah, lurkers are fine too though. Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting on you to do a double build. I still have the rest of the Retro 2 series on the way from Amazon, but I got the Game Boy sets early because I found them in the supermarket. But I have the Beauty series ready to go. Yeah. So I think that's all of the palm tree pieces we have here. It would be interesting to see how these are used. Oh, look at that little bird. This is in a aqua color. It's nicely printed as well. Oh, it doesn't want to stand up. Oh well. It's got one half of a whatever it's called, a dome. Thank you, Knights. I definitely appreciate the compliment. I'll try not to ham it up though. I just prefer being as natural as I can be. But I'm in a good mood as well. I think that helps. I've got a few different colors of this tail. It makes for some very interesting Unikitty designs if one so wanted. Oh, look at that. We've got a gold flower piece here. And this is a nice gold color, not that cheap pearl gold color. And then we have not quite a minifigure head. You can tell it's a different kind of shape, but it's a minifigure head shape nonetheless. Now, to be honest, I think this is really the only way that, well, eventually it's going to be the only way that fan models will become more interesting, and that's if people will be allowed to incorporate bits from other themes into their models. That's quite interesting. It's a milky, transparent colored bar piece. Not sure if it's meant to be like that, but it looks really interesting. Let's pick out just a couple more pieces before we end this thing. If we can find any. Got this transparent light blue 1x4 plates. That's quite nice. Another double-sided plate. Another one of these tiles. But yeah, there are some rather nice pieces here. Very nice pieces. Look at that. It's a transparent brown reverse, whatever you call it, a bow piece. And bear in mind, I still have 3 more bags to go, so there's plenty of opportunities for interesting parts. This is interesting. I'm not sure it's meant to look like this. Looks as if there's a piece that's broken off that got stuck on there. But that could be interesting too. Well, Mayor wants me to end the stream. He's asking how long it's going to be, but we are at the hour now, so I'm going to end it right here. Don't want to keep you guys longer than necessary. But I'm going to say thank you guys for joining in. I really, really appreciate it. I'm honored to have viewers. And let's see. Hopefully I'll be on tomorrow doing something completely different. But in the meantime, this has been SilentMode, maker, artist, and LEGO enthusiast. As always, encourage